Cancer is one of the deadliest diseases in the world. It is a serious mortal threat to humanity as it caused more than 10 million deaths in 2020 alone. Cancer spares no demography. It affects men and women, children and adults, infants and senior citizens. So how are we responding to this deadly enemy? What measures are we implementing to reduce its rampage and eradicate it from our lives? Let's hear from cancer experts from the Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospitals Complex, Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria, on what they are doing to close the cancer care gap.
We've been able to battle cancer in a way that affects our whole locality more. And one of the things we'll be able to do is we discover that clinical trials is something that is a bit rare in this environment. And that's one of the innovations that we brought across. So in breast cancer presently in the hospital, there's a clinical trial that is running for patients that are eligible. And these have helped patients significantly at the costs. And eventually it has provided very high potent drugs for them, which we have seen significant difference in how the patients are performing. So I can say that's one of the innovations we've brought into treating cancer.
The effort we have made in conjunction with African Research Group for Oncology has been enormous in tackling cancer in Nigeria. One of it is that we've been able to screen. The process of screening helps us to detect cancer before it announces itself. When the cancer is still very small, and that is the time when cancer can be cured. So we've been able to screen over 3,000 individuals for colorectal cancer. All these people had the screening free of charge.
Oauthc in Ile-Ife, we've joined the global efforts in making cervical cancer screening accessible, affordable, and efficient.
Within the last 10 years, we established an office endoscopic unit which allows us to look into the interiors of people rather than take them to theater. That has actually shortened the gap between the time patients come to the hospital and the time we are able to obtain samples for diagnosis, which actually makes it easier to take decisions as regards their treatment.
The department has established an interventional radiology unit since 2017, and in collaboration with other departments, we've been offering image-guided biopsies, which has produced tissue with accuracy and precision for the pathologist to make prompt diagnosis.
I'm closing the care gap with our patients by giving them psychological support. We encourage them after taking their drops, and that one makes them feel belongs, and it makes them to feel that is not the end of the world, that they can still overcome.
As a plastic surgeon, we tend to see patients with cancers that involve the skin. Most of these patients are of the low socioeconomic status. Some of them are albinos, and they tend to have the risk factor being from the nature of their skin. And being of low socioeconomic status, it would be nice if they are well supported in order to avoid exposure to sunlight, and also to have things that will help to prevent the development of the cancer in them. Efforts to bridge this gap, this health disparity between advanced and developed countries, is the use of automated visual evaluation. Also, the use of HPV screening. HPV screening has high negative predictive value because the main cause of cervical cancer, the organism implicated, is the human papilloma virus. So if you use HPV screening and the woman is negative, that means our chances of developing cervical cancer is almost nil.
Now we know that cancer won't find it easy at all in any way. The collective response from the various health professionals has mounted a solid point of resistance against its spread. Now let's see what the future of the fight against cancer looks like.
Currently, we are working with other partners in other states in Nigeria to be able to conduct further screening for colorectal cancer. And all these are funded by both United States government and other non-governmental organizations that fund our activities.
This department has a space, for interventional radiology. We have well-skilled consultants in charge of the department, taking care of patients that are referred here for biopsy of some of the tissues, in the organs that are involved in these different cancer cases.
The advanced methods of cancer diagnosis include immunohistochemistry, which involves utilization of antibodies to detect antigens on cells of the body, use of cytogenetics to detect arrangement of chromosomes in nuclei, use of a polymerase chain reaction to rapidly amplify genetic material and identify particular genetic alterations, use of in situ hybridization to identify nuclear rearrangements and change in DNA patterns in the body, use of next generation sequencing to identify patterns of nuclear material in the body and to identify tumors using these patterns.
In my practice, we get to see a lot of people who have advanced cancers, and we have been able to see that a good number of them actually come from a particular part of our region here. We are presently working on an initiative to map out this region to know exactly the specific locations where these patients are coming from, because we believe that there are particular things existing in those regions that is probably the reason why we are having those cancers. This is particularly important because we tend to see these patients at least 10 years younger than what is reported in other parts of the world, so to say. So we are presently working on mapping out this region and visiting those places to establish whether there are local practices or environmental factors that is probably inducing these cancers at an early age in those people.
Due to this health disparity, because in advanced country, cervical cancer is not as common as in developing countries. The World Health Organization has launched the 90-70-90 initiative to reduce cervical cancer globally. The first 90 means that to vaccinate over 90% of girls with HPV vaccine against cervical cancer, which is a form of primary prevention, and also to screen at least 70% of eligible women at least twice in their lifetime at 35 years and again at 40 years, using a most sensitive and accurate screening method. The last 70 is to treat at least 90% of detected cases of women with pre-malignant lesions.
The challenge of the fight against cancer presents itself in a multidimensional way. There is the original fight against cancer, the disease. However, there are other obstacles that professionals encounter while they combat the spread of cancer. Let's see what the problems, the issues, and the obstacles are.
The problem we have with cancer in this part of the world is that 9 out of 10 people that have cancer actually come when that cancer is very late and when they are likely going to die from the cancer. But with the effort of screening, we can detect the cancer before the cancer announces itself and when we can actually cure those patients of the cancer.
The major challenges we find out is usually as a result of late presentation. And often this late presentation stems from the lack of funds. So if government could support in improving their awareness and making provision for accessing health care, this would be fine. And because most of these patients present late, they tend to have need for further treatment like radiotherapy. And as we have in this country, I think presently about just 2 centers have functioning radiotherapy machine. So it is important also to help equip that sector.
What we're doing specifically to close the gap in cancer care can be described in multiple folds. First, you must know that cancer is now a topical issue in Nigeria. Current statistics show that we lose 70,000 Nigerians to cancer yearly. A year we lose 70,000 of us. 28,000 of these are men, 42,000 are females. And what is staggering again is that of this loss, we now start recording younger generation of people in Nigeria dying from cancer, advanced stage disease, meaning that if nothing is being done soon our productive part of our population will be wiped out if we do nothing. That's why this topic is germane.
Cancer in children presents a rather different kind of problem. While it diminishes the quality of their health and threatens mortality, it also poses a serious concern for the future of our societies at large. Let's see how experts are addressing the problem of cancer in children.
Concerning treatment of cancer in our setting, it's been quite challenging over the years. Basically, financial constraint has been the major problem we face, especially on the part of the parents. Most childhood cancers are curable actually, but it takes a lot of commitment and it drains money, mainly because the drugs we use are very expensive, and we all know that majority of the population in Nigeria, they live below the poverty line. So sourcing for money to take care of cancer patients is quite a big burden on the part of the parents.
Now we know that the future of the fight against cancer is very bright. With the combined international, national, local, and multidisciplinary efforts being deployed to stop the spread and close the cancer care gap, we can all look to a future where cancer became a thing of the past. So now, lend your voice, close the cancer care gap, rest in assurance that there is hope and cancer will soon become a thing of history.
I am Dr. Oauthc and I am closing the care gap.
My name is Dr. Oauthc. I'm closing the cancer care gap.
My name is Dr. Sharif Ogunlayi. I'm closing the care gap in cancer management.
At the Clinical and Radiation Oncology Unit, we are closing the care gap.
I'm closing the care gap.
I'm Layo Mishori, an interventional radiologist, closing the care gap.
I'm Dr. Sharif Folorunsho, a consultant clinical and radiation oncology. I'm closing the care gap.
I'm Dr. Mupilola Ashaleye. I'm closing the cancer care gap.
I'm Dr. Yusuf Olariwaju Abdullahi. I'm closing the cancer care gap.
We are closing the cancer care gap.
I'm Professor Olusegun Isaac Alatishe. I am closing the cancer care gap in Nigeria.
Closing the